여기서부터 나 혼자 간다. 애들 서 계세요. 앉으세요.
After the younger sister he had depended on since childhood was murdered, terrorist Min Tae-gu risked his life to return to South Korea for revenge. Just days earlier, Tae-gu's sister had been taken hostage, and Chae-yoon, the negotiator assigned to the case, rushed to the scene. She hurried back to the car, changed out of the underwear she had worn for a blind date, and learned from a colleague that two Southeast Asian men were holding hostages and demanding a helicopter so they could flee the country. The kidnappers seemed unsophisticated, so Chae-yoon did not think too much of it. She walked straight up to them, removed her jacket, and persuaded them to let her inside so she could assess the situation. The moment Chae-yoon entered, one of the kidnappers stopped her. She pointed outside and told them they could leave in the van waiting there. The two men exchanged a glance, but showed no intention of moving. Chae-yoon reminded them that she was not in command of the operation, and asked them to release one hostage first so she could earn the commander's trust. But then the kidnappers spotted Alpha Team's concealed position on the security monitors, and the tension that had begun to ease suddenly exploded again. Chae-yoon assured them that the team would not move without her permission. At that exact moment, however, the officer in overall command gave the order to strike, and Alpha Team opened fire on one of the kidnappers. The man dodged the bullet, grabbed a hostage, and slit his throat, while the other kidnapper dragged the woman toward the bedroom. A second later, a flash grenade smashed through the window. Before Chae-yoon could react, the woman was dragged away. By the time Alpha Team stormed the room and shot the kidnappers dead, the woman's carotid artery had already been severed. What no one knew was that her brother was a notorious international arms dealer. The moment Min Tae-gu learned of his sister's death, he abducted a reporter from the Daehan Daily. Meanwhile, Chae-yoon submitted her resignation, but Superintendent On Hyuk-soo told her to take some time off, disguising it as a business trip. Unable to accept what had happened, Chae-yoon went home to recover, only for a colleague to call and tell her to open the door. As soon as she did, he told her to put on her uniform immediately because the commissioner of the Seoul Metropolitan Police Agency wanted to see her. Still completely confused, Chae-yoon arrived at the command center, where she found not only the commissioner, but also senior officials from the Blue House National Security Office. Section Chief Han rushed to the doorway and pulled Chae-yoon into the video room, where everything had been arranged according to Tae-gu's demands. Chae-yoon, who had never met Tae-gu, greeted him calmly. Tae-gu asked whether she was the best negotiator they had, and Chae-yoon answered that she was simply one member of the negotiation team. Then Tae-gu asked for her measurements, and the video feed was cut off a second later. Secretary Kong demanded to know what had happened. Chae-yoon explained that she had ended the call herself because Tae-gu was certain to call again, and before they could respond to his next move, she needed to know exactly what was going on. When Tae-gu called again, Chae-yoon warned everyone not to answer. Secretary Kong flew into a rage and ordered her to ask what Tae-gu wanted. Chae-yoon finally picked up and told Tae-gu that they needed time to discuss the situation, asking him to call back later. The moment she hung up, Chae-yoon demanded to know what had really happened. Instead of answering, the commissioner ordered Section Chief Han to take Tae-gu's relentless calls. Tae-gu turned the camera toward the hostage, pulled off the hood, and revealed that he had kidnapped Superintendent On Hyuk-soo. Without saying a word, Tae-gu loaded a single round into a revolver and aimed it at On's head. Realizing how dangerous the situation had become, Chae-yoon rushed back into the video room and begged Tae-gu, who kept pulling the trigger, to talk to her. Tae-gu said he no longer had the right to speak, so Chae-yoon blurted out her measurements.
165에 34, 24, 35.
He then asked who held the highest office in the command center. The commissioner warned Chae-yoon not to reveal that Secretary Kong was present, so she replied that the police commissioner was the highest-ranking official there. Tae-gu was furious that he still was not being taken seriously, and announced that he would get something to eat before continuing the negotiation. As a precaution, the commissioner deployed Alpha Special Forces. Their aircraft crossed the Indian Ocean and was expected to reach the Thai naval base in 3 hours. When Tae-gu opened another video call, Chae-yoon asked to see Superintendent On. Tae-gu casually hauled the drugged officer upright and slapped him hard across the face again and again. Unable to watch any longer, Chae-yoon screamed at him to stop. She offered to become his channel to the outside world, promising to deliver everything he wanted to her superiors. Seeing the Korean side finally yield, Tae-gu ordered them to bring in the president of the Daehan Daily. The authorities flew the newspaper president to the command center by helicopter, and the commissioner apologized for the abrupt treatment. Chae-yoon stepped forward and asked the president to change his clothes and cooperate with the investigation. Once Tae-gu saw him, he ordered his men to bring out the reporter. The newspaper president and his supposed employee barely seemed to recognize each other. Tae-gu told the president to stand up and take several steps backward, and the moment he noticed the man's casual trousers, he decided the president did not care whether his employee lived or died. Tae-gu demanded to know whether the captive reporter truly worked for his newspaper. The commissioner cut in, identified himself as the officer commanding the negotiation, and asked Tae-gu what he really wanted. Tae-gu told him to shut his mouth, pulled out the revolver, and aimed it at the reporter. He gave the newspaper president 3 seconds to admit whether the man was really his employee. Realizing the situation was spiraling out of control, the president finally admitted that he was not, enraged at being deceived. Tae-gu asked Chae-yoon whether anyone on her side was capable of telling the truth. Chae-yoon apologized repeatedly and begged him to stay calm. Instead, Tae-gu sprang to his feet and shot Superintendent Undead. Chae-yoon screamed that Tae-gu was a bastard, and the commissioner immediately ordered Section Chief Han to terminate the call. Furious, Chae-yoon stormed out and demanded that Han tell her the captive reporter's real identity. The commissioner stepped forward to stop her questions, but Chae-yoon only grew more enraged and turned her accusations on Secretary Kong. The commissioner cut her off, announced that the National Intelligence Service would take over the negotiation, and ordered his men to remove her from the command center. When the video call resumed, the NIS negotiators appeared completely at ease. They skillfully avoided every question that could hurt their side, then asked whether Tae-gu was doing all this because of the Shangri-La Corporation. Tae-gu was impressed by the professional NIS team. He was the registered head of Shangri-La, and the captive reporter, Lee Soo-mok, had been sent to investigate the company because it was connected to illegal Korean arms trafficking. Tae-gu had known from the beginning that Lee Soo-mok was actually an agent, which was precisely why he demanded the newspaper president. Now that the truth was on the table, the NIS made its offer. If Tae-gu returned the agent safely, ended all arms trafficking immediately, and handed over the names of everyone involved in his previous deals, the NIS would erase his entire criminal record. Tae-gu understood exactly what they wanted. They expected him to become their dog, destroy his own livelihood, and betray every one of his partners. But there was no chance he would accept a deal like that. Tae-gu ordered them to bring Chae-yoon back. One of the NIS officers shouted at him to watch himself. Tae-gu responded by ordering his men to bring out the agent they wanted so badly. Then his men led in a Korean family of 4, and Tae-gu sat down and ordered the NIS team to sing a song for the children. He gave them 30 minutes to bring Chae-yoon and Chairman Koo Kwon-soo, the founder of Shangri-La, and his former business partner. Only after Chae-yoon returned to the command center did she learn that Chairman Koo and Tae-gu had worked together for years. On paper, Min Tae-gu ran Shangri-La, but the company had actually been founded by Chairman Koo Kwon-soo. Koo had since withdrawn, leaving Tae-gu in charge. According to the intelligence supplied by the agent posing as a reporter, the organization sold weapons to pirates and laundered the proceeds through Shangri-La. But Chairman Koo had concealed several private deals from Tae-gu, and the betrayal had shattered their partnership. Meanwhile, Secretary Kong entered a cutting-edge weapons research center, where the entire operation was being financed by Chairman Koo. Inside, Koo was watching the video with the NIS deputy chief, the Air Force commander, and National Security Chief Hwang Ju-ik. The Air Force commander reported that the special forces would arrive in 4 hours. Hwang ordered them to eliminate the terrorist as quickly as possible so the incident would not interfere with his evening engagement. Secretary Kong then escorted Chairman Koo into the command center. The moment Tae-gu saw his former boss, he rose and bowed. Koo said he did not want the situation to get any worse and asked what Tae-gu wanted. Tae-gu told him that his Swiss bank account had been frozen. Koo claimed it must have happened because he had withdrawn from the company. and promised to help Tae-gu unfreeze it.
감사합니다.
딴 건 없나?
현주는 왜 죽이셨습니까?
But Tae-gu immediately asked what any of that had to do with Koo. At this point, no one in the room knew that Min Hyunju was Tae-gu's biological sister. Tae-gu asked Chae-yoon whether she remembered the hostage incident 10 days earlier, when she had served as the negotiator. He told her it had never been a simple robbery. Had anyone investigated the paintings inside that apartment? He asked, because the owner of those priceless works of art was sitting right beside her. Chairman Koo insisted that he did not know Hyunju, but Hyunju had managed Koo's secret slush fund after Tae-gu introduced them, and Koo had entrusted her with 2 billion won in emergency cash. Even a single painting hanging on those walls was worth tens of billions of won. Tae-gu then played a recording of Koo and the officials discussing their secret work on a new fighter jet. He asked Chae-yoon whether that was enough evidence to arrest them. Chae-yoon replied that an illegal recording could not be admitted as evidence in court. Tae-gu raised the stakes and demanded that National Security Chief Hwang appear at the command center within 1 hour, or every hostage would die. Hwang had no intention of appearing on camera. He was already prepared to sacrifice the hostages and have Tae-gu killed. Chae-yoon lied to Tae-gu, claiming they could not reach Hwang and that Chairman Koo had been taken away for questioning immediately after their meeting. Tae-gu responded by ordering her to bring in the commissioner, the highest-ranking officer there. The commissioner assured Tae-gu that every allegation he had raised would be investigated according to procedure. Faced with another empty official response, Tae-gu broadcast the video live over the internet. The sight of the police commissioner sent shockwaves across South Korea, and broadcasters quickly carried the crisis around the world. Secretary Kong ordered his subordinates to cut every broadcast signal, but it was already far too late. Once Hwang learned what had happened, he ordered Tae-gu eliminated immediately.
진입.
Tae-gu had taken the hostages to avenge his sister, but Hwang disregarded their lives and had Tae-gu's supposed base blown apart. As everyone mourned the hostages, Chae-yoon noticed something strange in a frozen frame of the video. She rushed to Secretary Kong and reported that Tae-gu was still alive. The timing of the sunset in the video matched South Korea, and Chae-yoon became certain that Tae-gu had been in Korea all along. The command center immediately pulled immigration footage from the previous few days and began searching for him. At that moment, one of Chae-yoon's colleagues reached a warehouse, discovered a body, and found the hostages Tae-gu had supposedly been holding overseas. Meanwhile, a van sped into the underground parking garage beneath Hwang's secret meeting place. Tae-gu opened the door and glanced at Hwang's security detail. One guard noticed something was wrong and ordered him to leave, only for Tae-gu to ram a gun into his mouth. Tae-gu's mercenary brothers poured out of the van and seized control before the guards could even reach their radios. 3 of his men entered the elevator lobby first. Tae-gu grabbed his equipment and ordered them to leave while he went upstairs alone. They called out to him as their big brother, but none dared disobey. Tae-gu looked at them, thanked them for everything, and closed the elevator doors. He removed his coat and strapped on his gear, and the moment the elevator opened, the killing began. Back at the warehouse, the colleague who had found the hostages called Chae-yoon with the news. At the same time, Chae-yoon located footage proving that Tae-gu had entered South Korea. Secretary Kong immediately dispatched a special investigation unit to Hwang's secret location, but they were already too late. Tae-gu ordered the terrified officials to sit down, then dragged a chair toward them one slow step at a time. Chairman Koo tried to smooth things over, but Tae-gu silenced him and warned that one more word would get him killed. Tae-gu pulled out a bomb, and the terrified hostess fled for her life. Hwang asked whether Tae-gu had somehow misunderstood the situation. Tae-gu coldly asked what exactly he had misunderstood. Desperate to save himself, Chairman Koo opened his mouth again, and Tae-gu shot him in the chest. killing him on the spot. The special unit reached the underground garage and began fighting its way upstairs. But Tae-gu was in no hurry to kill Hwang. He said that trash like him had always been expected to serve as a stepping stone for powerful officials. But what they had done to a helpless young woman like his sister was beyond filthy. Stammering in fear, Hwang asked what it would take for Tae-gu to let the matter go. Tae-gu told him to ask Tae-gu's sister in the afterlife. Just then, Chae-yoon arrived at the door. Tae-gu warned her to leave immediately if she did not want to die. Chae-yoon finally understood why he had asked for her from the very beginning. She had failed to stop the kidnappers 10 days earlier, and his sister had died because of it. Chae-yoon told him she understood why he was doing this, but it had to end here. Even if he wanted to expose the truth, he did not have to kill everyone in the room. Tae-gu said the person truly responsible for his sister's death was himself. To protect his livelihood, he had placed her at Chairman Ku's side, and on his instructions she had stolen Ku's files. Suddenly, the glint of a sniper's scope flashed across the room, and Chae-yoon immediately stepped in front of the window to block the shot. Tae-gu showed no fear at all. He warned Chae-yoon to leave because he did not want to kill her. Chae-yoon swore that she would help him expose the truth. With time running out, Tae-gu raised his gun and aimed it at her. Chae-yoon refused to move and told him to pull the trigger, and if he could not, then her life was his to take. Tae-gu lowered the weapon, looked around the room, and said that he truly wished he could have shared a drink with her. Then he raised the gun toward Hwang, and an outside sniper killed him with a single shot. Tae-gu had repeatedly begged his sister not to take such a dangerous path, but she believed it was better to confront them than spend her life in hiding. In the end, brother and sister were both killed while trying to survive. Only then did Section Chief Han discover that the bomb detonator did not even have a switch. Chae-yoon pushed through the special unit, stared down at Tae-gu's body, and broke into tears. After the incident, National Security Chief Hwang became the center of public attention. Hwang ordered the NIS deputy chief to rewrite the official account of what had happened. Chae-yoon rushed outside and pounded on the window of Hwang's car.
당신을 유현주 살인 공모미, 불법 무기 거래, 군수비리, 각종 뇌물죄와 함께 국가 반역죄로 체포합니다.
뭐?
당신들은 자신에게 불리한 진술을 거부할 수 있으며 진술을 거부하더라도 불이익을 받지 않습니다.
이런 미친년이. 왜 출발하라고? 출발해!
1 year later, she visited the resting place of Tae-gu and his sister. Under mounting public pressure, Hwang announced that he would submit to an official investigation.
선서, 본인은 국회가 실시하는 군 정부 고위 관료들에 의한 군납, 군수 비리 및 유현주 인질 사망 사건의 진상 규명을 위한 증언을 함에 있어 양심에 따라 숨김과 보탬이 없이 사실 그대로 진실만을 말하고 만일 거짓이 있으면 위증의 벌을 받기로 맹세합니다. 대한민국 서울지방경찰청 경위 하채윤